because our deepest wounds often reveal our greatest purpose. Welcome to the Court of Connection. I feel like that opening is just like so on par for who the guest is today. I mean,
it's so good.
It's so good. Anna Reardon is on the show today, and I am so excited about this conversation. You have been such an inspiration on so many levels. Anna is a new author of a published book that is amazing that we will get into. She was or is a therapist. I'm not sure. Did you?
Yeah, I don't practice anymore,
Okay.
but a big therapy proponent, 100%.
Yes. Was a therapist for a very long time, is a beautiful model of body positivity, which has been so significant on my journey, and just an amazing woman in recovery and all the way around. So Anna, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so stoked to be here.
Yes, you're the perfect embodiment of the kind of guest that I love to have on here. So how are you showing up to this conversation today?
Yeah, I am in the middle of moving, which is a very stressful experience. But, I think the beautiful thing about living a life in the context of recovery is that, like, I have pockets of serenity no matter what's going on. So there's kind of like chaos around. Like, you can't see them right now, but just cardboard boxes and, tape rolls and all kinds of chaos, but feeling really peaceful today. I love Sundays. I love having these conversations, and yeah, I'm in gratitude, but have a little bit of the chaos cloud around me.
Beautiful. Let's just take a breath together and breathe that in. Like,
yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm really excited to just dig deep with you today. Weathersfield Road is such, it's reading a book and I'm having a conversation with Anna. Like, you feel your essence on the page. You feel who you are, your personality, your courage, your authenticity. I mean, it's magic. So
thank you.
Tell us, for those who don't know you, tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of your journey to becoming an author.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for your kind words. I've been sober a little over 10 years, which is just wild to say out loud every time, because I was not a person who could string more than a few hours together sober. And I mention that because it's like kind of the foundation of everything I do and who I am. But I got sober, and I was a competitive horseback rider. I walked dogs for extra money. I just did a lot of stuff with animals. But my journey in recovery and my journey in my own therapy made me quickly realize that, like, human stories, like, just move me and I want to be a part of them. And at the time, I really thought that was as a therapist. And I went to grad school and I learned a lot about just the human condition and, how we develop into the people we are and how to best support people and hold space for people. But once I started working as a therapist, I really didn't like it. I loved the people. I fell in love with every single person who came into my office. But I think my nervous system is just so, like, it's so sensitive. People would be like, "Don't bring your work home with you." And I was like, "What?" Like,
How?
what does that mean? Like, it just never really registered. And so I was, I was doing really well in my practice, but my personal life was suffering, and I didn't really have a whole lot of energy or life force left for the relationships in my life. And so I took a break, and in that break, I started writing about my life therapeutically. And it started to take the shape of a book. And I started to write fictionally about big feelings and big events, big relationships, big milestones, through the lens of this fictional character, Amelia Glickman, who's kind of a stand-in caricature of Anna. And it just was this really beautiful therapeutic experience. And I've gotten to share it with people now, which is so exciting.
Oh, so beautiful. What surprised you the most when you started writing the book about yourself?
That's such a good question. I think definitely how much freedom it gave me to take a step back and write it from a fictional standpoint. I think something about, and we kind of have this in the recovery process, like when we look at things, when we inventory things, when we kind of consider different aspects of how we're showing up and how other people are showing up, or whatever that looks like, we're kind of taking an objective point of view and like looking in on it, almost from like a different ground, if that makes sense. And something about writing the story fictionally helped me to do that with some of the most painful experiences.
Mm.
And I think the thing that surprises me the most to this day is something that one of my favorite authors said, is that to tell the real truth, sometimes the facts aren't always the most accurate when it comes to storytelling.
Mhm.
And that just continues to surprise me, and I love it so much.
That brings up such a great point because as a person also in long-term recovery and someone who's been in therapy for a long time, there is something about us overly associating with parts of your life that leave you flooded, right? Or left you
Yes.
flooded. And so I love that perspective because that's really how you move through the heavy stuff, is to disassociate from it in that way, not in your body, but as, I'm watching the movie,
Yes. Yes.
just a few feet back. And so I'm not the person. I am watching what happened, right?
100%. It's very like I'm a spiritual being having a physical experience. And like it's very like I'm having feelings. I am not my feelings. And that is like I used to be like, I am pain. Like that's what I
Yes.
am.
Yep. Yep. Oh my gosh.
It's a weird experience to be like, no, I'm in pain. Like
Yes.
I am not pain.
Yes. Yes, exactly. The over-identification and the drama that we have around that sometimes, and it's very real also.
Totally.
So I
Totally.
don't want to discredit that because
No.
that has been a big part of my journey lately too, is not skipping over the emotion that's there, right? Like
Yes.
there is still emotion. I can see something from a different perspective and I can have a level of freedom around that by disassociating, but I
Yes.
also, it's still in my body and I still have,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, and I in grad school learning that, like I remember a professor said to us, every feeling has a physiological response in the body. And I was like, "What? Like that's crazy." Like a feeling is a real thing. Because I'm such an all or nothing person. I'm like either that my feelings are absolutely everything and they're running my life, or I'm completely.
Yes.
Like what does it look like to just like feel them, let them move through my body, have their moment so they don't get stuck, because I this is a big theme in the book, learning about how the feeling itself can't hurt me, but how I deal with the feeling can absolutely kill me. If I if I'm a drug user, if I'm a self-harmer, if I have an eating just, that how I react to my feelings can absolutely harm me. But the feeling itself really can't.
Right. Right. Ah, that's, yes, so well said. That is exactly it. And so many of us run from that feeling, the feeling. And I was talking to somebody earlier, and it's like the mind says, if I go all the way there, I'll never come back.
I'll never come back yet.
I'll never come back. And so
Yep.
we just stay on the surface of that emotion or feeling, and it just recycles and recycles and
Totally.
recycles. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so good. So, was there any part of you, or I'll ask it differently. Um, what did it feel like to step into complete visibility on a public level of details of your life?
Terrifying. It was so terrifying. I mean, it's still terrifying. I'm kind of like, uh I'm kind of more comfortable now that it's like been published. It's out there. Whoever's gonna read it's gonna read it, and I've kind of come to terms with that. But I had what Brene Brown calls a vulnerability hangover for like 3 months. Like just feeling really raw, feeling really exposed, and feeling not in a bad way. Like those seem like really intense words, but it was like those were all things that I needed to do to feel at peace with this part of my story, I think. And there were really hard parts of that, just like there are really hard parts of, going to therapy or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this moment when I was launching the podcast, which ultimately wasn't even something I really wanted to do. It was direction from God that was like,
Sure.
this is the next thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
really? You know?
Yeah.
And I remember the day before it launched, I was curled up on my couch and I had a literal meltdown and was like, fuck this. No, 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 no. My whole system was just like freaking out. And I think you'll really understand this. It was the deeper core rejection wound.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
I'm putting myself out there. There's a massive risk, right? For someone to reject me, because I had gone through this experience where I was kind of unveiling what was actually there. And I had chalked it up to like, I'm afraid to take up space. And somebody close to me very lovingly pointed out, I don't think that you're afraid to take up space in places that you know you're going to be welcomed and that people want you there.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, yeah, it's deeper than that. I'm not afraid to take up space. I'm afraid of rejection, right?
Yes, 100%. Because if I know you're gonna love me and hold me, I'll take up all the space in the world. You know what I mean? Like, with people like you, I'm like, I'm completely whatever. I'll tell you anything. I'll tell you know what I mean? But if there's a chance that somebody could say, "No, who you are is wrong," I shut down completely. And it's like, why do I make that person God? That person who's going to shut me down, why do they get the say in how I show up? It's so interesting.
It is interesting. I feel like we're so in sync here, because I've actually been doing a deep dive into that part specifically. And it's like, yeah, why is that? Well, because on some level, there's still a part of me rejecting me. Like there's still something there. While I've done a ton of work and I love who I am, there's still pieces in there that reject myself on a certain level, or you wouldn't be able to.
Right. 100%. And you've mentioned parts, and parts work is, I mean, wow. And so much of me that had to heal during the writing of this book was that 13-year-old part, like that, like just like a walking, talking hormone, like just like so like that's, I don't even know how to describe her, but she's in so much pain and she's so afraid that you're going to reject her. And just kind of holding her hand through that process was a lot.
Yes. How
Love her though.
Right? Oh, bless her heart. I know. It's beautiful, and man, it feels so real when you're when she's taking the driver's seat. You're like, babe, I need you to get back there. I need you to hop in the back seat.
Yes. And not be a bitch. She's such a bitch.
That brings me to my next question. What was that? Because I obviously know your husband. I don't know him super well, but I know his essence, and I know y'all's relationship, which is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. What do you think if you were Tanner right now? How would you describe how Anna was showing up writing this book?
I I would love to just ask him, because he'd be like, Tanner,
call him in. Call.
I think he would probably say you were just sensitive. I think I was just ultra sensitive, and I needed a lot of reassurance about, like, I think I asked like a few times a week, like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this crazy? And having a partner there that was like, you're absolutely doing the right thing. Like, this is exactly where your higher power led you. Like, I believe in you. Like, I really did need that. And I got that, from a lot of different people in my life who were there to kind of hold up a mirror and be like, hey, you decided to do this and that's amazing. And like, we're here to help you follow through on it. But I would say that I was probably just a lot. You'd probably be like, you were a lot. But he's the sweetest man in the world, and he was very, very kind and patient with when the 13-year-old would kind of come out and be like, you know.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So you went from being a therapist to an author. Was there any piece of that? And I'm gonna bookend with my current experience after you answer
Sure.
the question. Was there any part of you that struggled to um like let go of needing being in a role where you're needed and more just like dropping into I'm doing this for me?
Totally. I think like the time in my life when I decided to leave therapy, it's easy for me to gloss over it, and be like, I left therapy because it wasn't for me. And then I started writing. I was like, no, it was really fucking hard. I was having panic attacks every day on my way to work. My body was like, I ended up in the emergency room with like very high blood pressure several times. Just like my body was really kind of rejecting the amount of emotional stress I was putting it through. There was also something to be said for, I started seeing clients for the first time during COVID. So I literally sat in this room and saw clients and heard just the worst things that could happen to a person. I heard young people tell me the worst things that could possibly happen to a person happen to them. And I held it in my house. And I think that's part of why I never learned how to leave it at work, and so it was really building up in my body, and my body was like, it was starting to really reject the way I was living. And it just kind of came to a head, and I left, and I became the person, I've been in therapy. I will always be in therapy probably, but I became the person who really needed my therapist. I really needed my psychiatrist. I really needed, my care team to help me through kind of a mental health crisis. And just the nature of my personal brand of mental illness is that happens like probably every 3 to 5 to 7 years. I'll go through something big or small. That was a bigger one. I recently went through a smaller one, and it is what it is, and I have a lot of support.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason I brought that up is I can say it publicly now, but I just put my notice in at my job that I've been at for 9 years.
Wow.
Years. And I felt it hasn't even hit me yet. I'm still there for
Yeah,
another month.
sure.
But in some ways I don't know who I am prior to this job. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been with this company since I got sober, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Um, the woman I was before that, I don't even like associate with, she's
Yeah.
just so different,
Yeah.
and they're my family. But there was similarly, I started to feel like this misalignment happening, and it felt like a job that felt easy at one point started to feel really hard.
Yeah.
And I just was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know how much longer I can do this. And simultaneously, I'm having this, experience where I'm starting the podcast, and I've always wanted to kind of have my own intuitive coaching business and kind of, and hold retreats and do
Yeah.
things like that. That's like where my heart is,
Amazing.
but terrified of, taking the risk on myself,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like, what if I fail, right? What if it doesn't work out? And it reminds me of Brene Brown's work too, because it's like, I was watching all of these people, you include all these people who are like taking a risk on themselves, right? Who are just willing to walk through the fear of the unknown and just fucking find out, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And something switched in me where I was like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and not feel like I took a shot at myself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I fail, whatever. The jobs are always going to be there.
Absolutely. And like what I've kind of come to terms with is like, what is failure? Like, does that even exist? Like, you are touching people just by being who you are. And so, like, that is a success. Everything else is just icing on the cake.
Yes, yes. And that's true, right? A lot of what drives that or what keeps people stuck is this over identification with the details of their life, right? The amount of money. I'm not saying it's not bad to want a lot of money or to want specific things, but I can get really graspy when I'm so laser focused on the details or what it needs to look like for me.
Yes,
Okay.
100%. And that's what it really comes down to, especially in, the way our society is structured is what does it look like?
Mhm.
You know, like I think today, whenever I want something I don't have, it's because I'm worried about what it looks like.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, absolutely. So it's so I was just it just made this mental click where I'm like, you have literally been a few steps ahead on
Mm.
every part of my journey. Cause I
Wow.
remember, yeah, I remember calling you when it was like the circa day 2023 when everything crashed for me around body image and my eating disorder, and it had taken this new weird form of like uber control that I wasn't even aware of, you know?
Yeah.
I was like on carnivore and doing all this like weird shit that I had convinced
Mm.
myself was totally normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We convince ourselves all kinds of things are normal. And to be fair, there's a lot of messaging around, what you should be doing that
Yes.
makes us think it's normal.
Exactly, exactly, and that's what had happened. I had gone on this journey of, like, buying into all the, "This is what you should be doing. This is what works," right? And like we do, and, all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, "Holy shit, I'm afraid of all kinds of food now. Like, what
Yeah.
happened?" Right?
Yeah.
And I was so afraid having the history that I have of trusting what the professionals were telling me, right? I got a nutritionist who
Mhm.
specialized in intuitive eating. I got a
Mhm.
therapist who specialized in body image and eating disorders. And I was so terrified and I didn't have any other choice but to trust them or to continue
Yeah.
the way I was going.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I'm not gonna be okay. If I let go of control, I'm not gonna be okay." And I remember calling you. You were in my field and I was like, "I have to call Anna." Because you went on the same journey, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. I remember that phone call. I was thinking about it the other day actually when I ran into you. And I was walking down the street with my dog, and I just remember I just felt so much love for you in that moment. And we've always had our weird thing where
Yeah.
we like, yeah, we have our weird connection. Not weird, it's wonderful, but you know what I'm saying.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I remember I was walking my dog, talking to you, and I just remember I felt so much love for you, and I was like, wow, I wish I could take some of this away, but it's just something you have to walk through.
Yeah.
And it's so worth it in the end to walk through it, but it's fucking hard, man.
Oh,
Body stuff is everything. It's your vessel. It's the space you occupy in the world. It's
yeah.
really big stuff.
Really big stuff. And it's also we live in a society that, makes it really hard to own and love your body for what it is, you know?
Totally,
It
totally, totally.
Yeah, it's so intense. So, yeah, I remember that part of my life was probably one of the hardest chapters in recovery for me.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
I get that.
panic attacks, laying on the floor, like, I'm getting dressed every day was like, "I can't do this," you know?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, I've been there.
Yes, yes. And, like, it surfaces here and there, but
Yeah,
overall,
yeah,
I remember you saying, like, "I'm telling you, it changes, it gets better, it is the
yes,
best thing that you can do for yourself," and, it was
yeah,
because I have so much freedom around food and freedom
yeah,
around my body where it's like, And I just didn't think that was possible. So
I'm so glad you found that. I'm so glad you found that. And I'm grateful for the woman who talked to me on the phone when I was like, what the fuck? Like, I can't, I have dieted since I was in third grade.
yes.
What do you mean stop?
Yes.
Like, that was so scary for me because I've always had a larger body than my peers. Like since I was in elementary school, my body's been larger. Sometimes that meant being overweight, sometimes that meant not being overweight, but it didn't matter. My body was my body. I was always bigger. And it always was like, oh, well, like your body is bigger, so you will restrict your food. Like that's what you have to do for the rest of your life. You will restrict your food. You will manage, you will try to be smaller for the rest of your life. And when I decided to stop doing that, it was fucking terrifying, you know? I had to, I went big one way and because I had been big the other way. And, I had to really find the middle ground and find out what does health mean for me? What do I want to feel like in my body? And what does that look like in terms of what I'm eating and how I'm moving? And, really realize that it's a personal journey. Like somebody's health and their relationship with their body is none of my fucking business.
No. And something I learned along the way was to stop commenting on people's progress, body.
Totally.
Like, and it was so unconscious for me, right?
Yes.
Somebody would, their body would change and I would be like, wow, you look blah, blah,
yeah.
blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was that person where that was happening, but I was actually the most miserable and sick I'd ever been, right? And and so that little thing that people are so unconscious of has such a massive impact,
Totally. I would be in like the most disordered, restrictive part of my eating disorder. People would be like, wow, you look great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is
what I need to keep doing. Yes. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just the authenticity, the way that you carry yourself, like you are just such a top-notch human being, like really, truly, like our authenticity is like our greatest superpower. It is the thing that gives other people permission to do the same,
Totally. Well, that's how I see you as well. You're just such a light.
Yes. I think there's something about it, which is so funny. I just want to say this online. You and I have never really spent any time together.
No, I know. I was going to say that earlier. It's not like we don't like go to lunch or coffee. Like we just like have a soul connection.
Yes.
It's really interesting. We're not in the same friend group necessarily. No. We're not, it's really interesting. Like somebody mentioned you the other day. I was like, oh, she's like one of my like.
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you saw her? I was like, I don't remember.
Yes. There is a soul thing. There's a recognition there. There's a deep resonance,
Totally. A mutual respect. Absolutely.
Yes. So you mentioned your kind of mental health. That's such a hot commodity, hot topic these days. Tell me about your mental health struggles and how you've kind of navigated that through this whole process.
Yeah, I've just always felt stuff so intensely and so deeply. And I've always been uncomfortable from the time I was really little. And, a lot of that showed up in my alcoholism and addiction and the way that I tried to change the way I felt with those. And the way I see it personally, and, I think everyone sees it differently, but for me in my journey, it's like I have my alcoholism and addiction, and there's a way that I treat that. And that is in a very kind of spiritual sense. And then I have kind of this other stuff that, also needs that spiritual aspect to be okay. But it also is something that I really need the help of doctors and therapists to manage. I have been told it's borderline. I've been told it's bipolar. I've been told it's manic depression. I've been told it's all kinds of different things. And what I learned through grad school, really, which is I'm so grateful to have been through a graduate program and learned about, the DSM-5 and mental health diagnoses, realizing that diagnoses are only helpful if they're helpful for the person that it is describing. Um, it is a cluster of symptoms that may or may not be there at any given time. I have been like diagnosable as many of those things at different points in my life because it's a cluster of symptoms, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, I think we're human beings and we are not diagnostic criteria, and we have to find, the spiritual life mixed with the self-care with whatever support that looks like that works for us as individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so true. We were never designed, I say this all the time, we were never designed as human beings to live and operate in a world the way that we do. We
Oh
were
my God.
never designed that way, right? It's so funny. Somebody brought up this point recently where it was like, why is New Year's like New Year's, new me? This is where you change your life.
Yeah.
You get into action, and it's like the middle of winter when we're supposed to be like resting and
Yes.
hibernating.
Yes. Oh my God. I got this journal that like goes by the moon cycles and
Yes.
like the earth and like where it's at. And it's like, our New Year's not till spring.
Yes. Yes.
We could chill.
Yes.
It's not natural.
No, no. And in Chinese astrology, like everybody's like, year of the horse, fire horse. That doesn't even start until like mid-February.
Literally.
Yeah, we're still shedding. Yeah, it's so I don't get me started on what man decided that fucking New Year's was, you know what I mean? Just to like fuck us up. Not man, but
Yeah,
like,
I totally understand. Tanner was saying that the other day. He was like, it's just like another day. Like, it's not like it's fine.
no, it's all for consumerism, right? You get a
Yes.
gym membership, you get healthy food, you do all the
Totally.
fucking things that people do on New Year's.
Yes.
So my whole point is we were meant to utilize our energy source as it comes. We weren't meant to force
Yes.
ourselves to produce or to move, or it's stored. Energy is stored, and so
Yes.
in our natural flow, it's like, oh, I have a burst of energy, I'm gonna clean my house. Oh, I
Yes.
have a burst of energy and creativity, I'm gonna write, use this to write my book or whatever.
Yes.
Instead, we're in a world where it's like the hustle culture is like means you're successful and push through and just get a coffee. And
Yep.
I'm guilty. But I see it.
Totally. Me too.
You know?
Absolutely. We're cyclical beings. The earth is a cyclical being, it's like all of those things. And yeah, it's so interesting too, because just like like you said, the consumerism, capitalism, all of those things like make it so it's like hustle push. And something that I got to do in becoming a writer was listen to my body. Like some days I write 5,000 words, and then other days I'm like, oh, I can't do anything. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's also a privilege to be able to follow that and listen to my body, because so much of the world just doesn't live in that reality. So much of the world lives in the reality of, too bad you have to clock in. Like, I don't care how you feel. You know what I mean?
Yes. Which is the thing I'm most excited about. Like, it's a risk that I feel prepared to take, because I also am reframing what I think it needs to look like, right? I may have to get creative for a while. I may have
totally.
to like adjust my lifestyle. Like I may have to do these things and I may not, but I'm willing to do that to not sacrifice my soul anymore.
Absolutely. And like God's done so many incredible things in your life. Why would God stop now?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's God didn't bring you this far just to drop you on your head.
No. And the desire was placed on my heart by God. You know what I mean? So all the resources are going to work themselves out,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So you are writing a second book. Are you allowed to talk about it?
Oh yeah, I don't have any rules.
I love that. Yes. Tell us about it. I'm so excited.
I'm writing a book called Broadway Baby. There's a character in Wethersfield Road named Kat, who was a completely made up character. Like she literally was based on no one. Um, and I fell in love with her. I thought she was so cool. And I was very into theater when I was in high school, and kind of stuff with my addiction made it so that that wasn't something I followed through on. But Kat did. Kat went to theater school. Kat went to New York, and she started auditioning. And she's from Austin, but she's gonna kind of have been the other side of addiction, where her mother was an alcoholic who got sober when she was about 13. And so she kind of has both of these aspects, these perspectives of active alcoholism and active recovery, and what that looks like as a family member. And she gets cast in her first real show. And she's working in the theater, and she's, figuring it out, and, falling in love with the stage manager and going on all kinds of wild adventures. So it's been so fun to write.
Wow.
I've been loving writing it. It's so fun.
Wow, that's so fun. And you just feel in flow, like you just feel like you're just so in flow and alignment. Do you edit your own stuff?
So I work with what's called an author coach. And basically how it goes is I will write a chapter, send him the chapter. He'll go through and make like what are called line edits, which are just like, this is incorrect grammar. But it'll also be like, I don't understand what you're saying here, or tell me more about this. Just like little things like that. And I'll go over it and I kind of edit as I go. I definitely do read through and edit my own work, but I am a big believer in developmental edits throughout the process, because there's something magical that happens when I hop on a call with him and we're discussing this character, and I'll be like, oh my God, I just had an idea. And it's not an idea I would have had if I had just been like sitting in a room by myself. I think creativity is just collaborative most of the time.
Yes. Yes. That's such a beautiful point, because I feel like in this next phase of my life, I went from being the girl who was like the kid who was like, you're on your own, kid. It's just you figure it out. Like,
yeah,
you got you know what I mean? And then
totally.
you get sober, and you realize like, oh shit, I can't do this without community.
Yep.
Right.
Totally.
And now that is I'm feeling very called to open my heart to collaboration, and that this next chapter is not something I'm going to be able to do on my own,
Totally. And how beautiful is that, kind of being forced into that place of like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I need you to show me. I think that's where a lot of magic happens.
Mm-hmm. What have been your favorite parts of this journey of becoming an author?
I think my favorite parts have been meeting people who met Amelia in Wethersfield Road and read the book and said, oh, this like changed something in me. It I'm just like, what? Like, it like, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. It's not a bestseller. It is not making me a ton of money. It is not, the most successful thing I've ever done. But I've also had people that I've never met reach out and say, this was one of my favorite books of the year. And that's because I felt seen in a way I didn't even think to ask to be seen in. And that's a gift. And I always said when I started out, I was like, if I can touch one person with this book, like I will have done my job. And the cool thing about a book is that it has a long tail life.
Totally.
It's like someone could read that thing in 20 years and be like, oh my God, Amelia Glickman.
Yeah.
Her. You know what I mean?
Totally. Totally.
It's a cool thing. It's just out there now for whoever needs it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's so cool. I mean, that's got to be such a crazy experience to like walk into the bookstore and be like,
yeah, it's weird.
hey, what the hell?
It's very weird. It's very, very weird. But yeah, I've met so many cool people, and there are people I've gotten negative reviews who are like, I don't know what's wrong with this person. Like, this is real, like, just don't get it. And I'm like, yeah, it's not for you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like it's not for everybody. And that makes me think of our conversation earlier, that piece of rejection. It's like, if there's not something that somebody would be like very offended by,
Yeah.
like maybe you're not telling the truth enough.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
piss somebody off. You're probably doing
Yeah.
something right.
Yes, yes. That's so funny. So this last year I had a massive like awakening again.
Yeah.
And I remember my sponsor kept saying, disappoint them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? I don't
What do you
what
mean? Yeah.
do I need?
Sure.
And then sitting where I am today, I'm like, oh, I get it. It's like, how do I be okay in the disappointing of other people? Right?
Totally.
How do I learn to hold myself and still be okay disappointing somebody,
Yeah.
you know, or
And
being misunderstood or
totally.
being rejected or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think about not everybody in the world's my cup of tea,
No.
you know, but still like the wound is real. And when I feel like you're rejecting me, it's still like, you know,
Oh,
oh,
oh my God, it is just devastating. And that's another big thing in Wethersfield Road where Amelia has to really realize, like, I'm more than a reflection off of other people. Like, I am real and I get to be real.
Mhm.
Like, as silly as that sounds.
Yes, absolutely. How has this process changed you specifically?
Mm. I think it has allowed me to leave a lot of things in the past that needed to be left in the past. It was like, okay, like the last piece of certain healing was in telling this story. And you know, it's called Wethersfield Road. That's the street I live on. Don't come stalk me, please.
He's moving anyways, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm moving. But you know, we're packing up this house where I've lived for 12 years, and all of the things that the book is based on, you know, unfolded within these walls. And we're moving on to, you know, a bigger place where we can grow our family, and, you know, leaving behind kind of an older version of myself. And I think, you know, finishing the book, publishing the book, and then, you know, moving from the house is just, it's a new era. It really is. And it's very bittersweet.
Yeah, that's gonna be an emotional one. That's gonna be an I'm sure it's already started, but it's gonna be one of those
Yeah.
fucking ugly cry.
Yes. Like guttural. Yeah. 100%.
Oh my gosh. So tell me, like, for someone who's reading your book, right? What do you think that's going through change in their life, that's afraid of, you know, being authentic or going through whatever transition they're going through? What would you tell them?
I've been like really kind of, I mean, morbid's the wrong word, but I've been kind of really macro about this recently. I lost my grandmother in October. And I had the honor of being with her as she transitioned, and I got to hold her hand. And, you know, I saw someone die for the first time, essentially. And it fundamentally changed me. Um, what I would say is like, this is it. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds kind of like intense and like, all right, calm down, but it really is. This is it. And that doesn't mean you should feel pressure to do something you don't want to do today. Like, after this, I'm going to go watch football on the couch. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like seize every single day with every ounce of energy you have. I'm just saying, like, if you have a dream, like, now is the time.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just, you know, it's so cliche, but this is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is it. It's
Mhm.
happening. You know, that's really what I would say.
Mm. I'm just taking that in. Yeah, that's so relevant for me. And that's exactly what I was saying earlier is I do not want to be at the end of my rope,
Yes.
whether that's next week or God forbid, or, you know,
Yeah.
30 years from now and be like, wow, you never just took the risk, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You are not going to be dropped. You know,
No.
as long as you're honest and kind and rely on your support system, you're not going to be drunk.
Totally. And with the you know, the whole point is to serve other people.
Yes.
Through the experience of authenticity, right?
That is the biggest thing. If your biggest goal is to help others and create community, you'll be taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. So where can we find you? If people want to find you, find your book, tell us all the things.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram at millennial author Anna. That's also my name on TikTok and Facebook. You can find me at anna-writes.com. There you can buy signed copies of my book. You can also buy cute little merch that's goes with the themes of the book. That I worked with a friend on that I love them. I think they're so cute. You can also find my book on bookshop.org, which is a website where if you buy through them, it supports local independent bookstores. And you can also get it on Amazon if you want.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm just first of all, how old are you?
I'm 33. Yeah, I'm 33.
I was about to say, we're the same age, because we have the same amount of sobriety time too. I didn't know that. I knew it was probably close, but anyway.
Oh,
Yes. I'm so inspired by you. You are amazing. I will make sure and link everything in the description when your episode releases, but I'm just excited to be on the sidelines watching what's next for you. And
the feeling is so mutual.
Yes, girl. Oh, so much love and gratitude to you. And I'm sure I'll see you when I see you, girl.
We love it.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time and for being such a gift to this world.
Thank you.
Yes. Good luck with your move, too.
Thank you so much. Yes, we need it.
May the cord that binds us to one another and to Source remind you that you are never alone, always guided, and always home. Until next time.